Well, hello, beautiful people. How we doing today? We are back at it. We are on the book Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil. If you guys haven't already figured it out yet, that's all we've been covering, and this is on chapter 12. We are actually in part two. Of three parts, because this is actually a long chapter, but a lot of great information. It's about harmony, education, and adversity, and things like that. So, really covers a lot of just understanding how we can work through, hypnotic rhythm, and how if we're just distracted, how easily we can fall into the devil's webs, and how to really avoid all of that, and who you listen to, and making sure that things are your level of awareness. And I keep emphasizing this so much because it is so important. We don't want to be living in autopilot, because that is death. Okay. And there's two ways of living: either you're growing or you're decaying. There is no middle ground, right? That is complacency, and I feel like that's where you're slowly just dying. So you want to be growing. All right. So, anyways, let's go ahead and get back into this, and let's go ahead and get started, and we'll talk about it at the end. So, let's go ahead and get going. Here we go. Let's play.
Nature is not interested in morals as such. She is not interested in right and wrong. She is not interested in justice and injustice. She is interested only in forcing everything to express action according to its nature.
Hmm.
Nature will not tolerate idleness or vacuums of any sort. All space must be and is filled with something. When the individual does not use the brain for the expression of positive, creative thoughts, nature fills the vacuum by forcing the brain to act upon negative thoughts. I find this so true, particularly when I think of children who have too much idle time on their hands.
Yeah.
Don Green, CEO of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, remembers, as young people, we were constantly kept busy with the admonition that idleness was the devil's workshop.
Hmm.
Interesting parallel, don't you think?
Yeah.
That is an enlightening interpretation of nature's ways. To whom may I turn for corroboration of your claims?
To men of science, to the philosophers, to all accurate thinkers. Lastly, to the physical manifestations of nature herself. Nature has no such thing as dead matter. Every atom of matter is constantly in a state of motion. All energy is constantly in motion. There are no dead voids anywhere. Time and space are literally manifestations of motion of such swiftness that it cannot be measured by human beings.
Hmm.
Alas, one is forced to the conclusion from what you say that the sources of dependable knowledge are shockingly limited.
The developed sources of knowledge are limited. Every normal adult human brain is a potential gateway to all the knowledge there is throughout the universes. Every normal adult brain has within its mechanism the possibility of direct communication with infinite intelligence, wherein exists all the knowledge that is or can ever be.
Your statement leads me to believe that human beings may become all they have attributed to what they call God. Is that what you mean?
Through the law of evolution, the human brain is being perfected to communicate at will with infinite intelligence. The perfection will come through organized development of the brain, through its adaptation to nature's laws. Time is the factor which will bring perfection.
What causes cycles of recurring events such as epidemics of disease, business depressions, wars, and crime waves?
All such epidemics in which great numbers of people are similarly affected are caused by the law of hypnotic rhythm, through which nature consolidates thoughts of a similar nature and causes those thoughts to be expressed through mass action.
Then the Great Depression was put into motion because great numbers of people were influenced to release thoughts of fear. Is that correct?
Perfectly. Millions of people were endeavoring to get something for nothing through stock gambling. When they suddenly discovered they had gotten nothing for something, they became frightened, rushed to their banks to draw out their balances, and the panic was on.
Mhm.
Through mass thought of millions of minds, all thinking in terms of fear of poverty, the depression was prolonged over a period of years.
Hmm.
The current economic turmoil in the United States and throughout the world was put into motion in a similar fashion. Millions were endeavoring to get something for nothing through real estate, no money down deals, subprime mortgages, and valuation bubbles, as well as the financial markets. When everything started to collapse, They became frightened, and the panic was on once again. By changing the thoughts of these millions from fear back to focus on fundamentally sound financial principles, can we stabilize the economy? Napoleon Hill's philosophy can show us the way. The choice is ours.
Right.
From what you say, I deduce that nature consolidates the dominating thoughts of people and expresses these thoughts through some form of mass action, such as business depressions, business booms, and so on. Is that correct?
You have the right idea.
Let us now take up the next of the 7 principles. Go ahead and describe it.
The next principle is time, the 4th dimension.
What relationship is there between time and the operation of the law of hypnotic rhythm?
Time is the law of hypnotic rhythm. The lapse of time required to give permanency to thought habits depends upon the object and the nature of the thoughts.
But I understood you to say that the only enduring thing in nature is change. If that is true, then time is constantly changing, rearranging, and recombining all things, including one's thought habits. How then could the law of hypnotic rhythm give permanency to one's thought habits?
Time divides all thought habits into 2 classes, negative thoughts and positive thoughts. One's individual thoughts are, of course, constantly changing and being recombined to suit the individual's desires. But thoughts do not change from negative to positive or vice versa, except through voluntary effort on the part of the individual. Time penalizes the individual for all negative thoughts and rewards him for all positive thoughts, according to the nature and purpose of the thoughts. If one's dominating thoughts are negative, time penalizes the individual by building in his mind the habit of negative thinking, and then proceeds to solidify this habit into permanency every second of its existence. Positive thoughts are likewise woven by time into permanent habits. The term permanency, of course, refers to the natural life of the individual. In the strict sense of the term, nothing is permanent.
Right.
Time converts thought habits into what might be called permanency during the life of the individual.
Now I have a better understanding of how time works. What other characteristics has time in connection with the earthly destiny of human beings?
Time is nature's seasoning influence through which human experience may be ripened into wisdom. People are not born with wisdom, but they are born with the capacity to think, and they may, through the lapse of time, think their way into wisdom.
People are not born with wisdom, but they are born with the capacity to think, and they may, through the lapse of time, think their way into wisdom. I find this one of the most profound statements in the entire book. By using our ability to think and analyzing our experiences in life, whether successes or failures, we can gain wisdom. Can it actually be that simple?
Do youths ever possess wisdom?
Only in very elementary matters. Wisdom comes only through the lapse of time. It cannot be inherited, and it cannot be imparted from one person to another except through the lapse of time.
Does the lapse of time force an individual to acquire wisdom?
No. Wisdom comes only to non-drifters who form positive thought habits as a dominating force in their lives. Drifters and those whose dominating thoughts are negative never acquire wisdom except of a very elementary nature.
From what you say, I infer that time is the friend of the person who trains his mind to follow positive thought habits and the enemy of the person who drifts into negative thought habits. Is that correct?
That is precisely true. All people can be classified as drifters and non-drifters. Drifters are always at the mercy of the non-drifters, and time makes this relationship permanent.
Do you mean that if I drift along through life without definite aim or purpose, the non-drifter may become my master, and time only serves to give the non-drifter a stronger and more permanent grip upon me?
That is stating the truth exactly.
Wisdom comes only to non-drifters who form positive thought habits as a dominating force in their lives. Again, I am forced to think about our children. With so much negativity around us due to terrorism and financial strife, what is going to be the long-term impact on our children? We must envelop our children in positive experiences in order to generate positive thoughts in their minds.
What is wisdom?
All right. We're going to end it right there because we want to continue on. So we're going to be talking about wisdom. This is very interesting, right? Because when the book came out, we were talking about possible recession, or was recession when we had the real estate boom and the bubble. And now we're looking into, I guess, the election. I try to lose track of all of these things because what they're talking about is literally what I've always kind of known, and I just want to share it with you guys and understand, right? th- Everything that is created right now in the world is set up for distraction. The more we are distracted, the more we are not thinking about these things, our principles, and living the lives to our fullest, and we're distracted by outside circumstances that we cannot control. We are in compliance with what the select people, let's just say, the elites, and again, not to get into conspiracy theory, anything like that, but there is a wealth gap, right? And there are a select few that understand these principles, but they don't want this information passed down to us. And so, by having these distractions, these political things, all this stuff that's going on, these turmoil, a lot of people aren't wanting to go out and shop because they're concerned with their finances, and everybody's complaining about money and inflation and all this stuff. It's all set up by design. But what they don't want us to know, and what we're learning today, and what the devil is essentially saying in this book, is that that is all a facade. And if we listen into that, buy into that, our lives are just going to slowly wither away, and we're going to fall into the devil's web. But by taking back and not focusing on those things, and not even worrying about what's going to happen, and just focusing on what you can control, how much more empowering we can be. And that is what is most exciting. And I'm glad that you guys are all enjoying this journey here with me. And you're not going to fall into that, because now you see it. You are understanding this is exactly why this book took so long to get out. And this information continues to be suppressed, because this is literally the secret, right? We are trying to they're trying to control us with narratives that distract us from us, because we are so powerful. So I hope you guys really understand that. Listen to this chapter again if you don't get it, and because it took me a couple of times, and even having a conversation with my mentor, because he would always tell me he doesn't watch the news, and I don't watch the news anymore. And because all of that information you can't control, and it's just there to upset you. That's why, especially, if you live in certain states where crime is rampant, they're just showing nothing but the negative stuff. If they even have time at the end, they'll probably show some positive stuff. But most states don't even have that, right? Because they just want to control you, and have you to feel fear. And this is all how the devil works. So I hope you guys get that. Hope you understand that. Pass this on to anybody who might be questioning this or having some trouble in understanding this, because this stuff is very powerful. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Like and comment down below. If you haven't subscribed already, hit the notification bell so you get all the notifications. And we're going to see you guys right back out here tomorrow. If you're on the playlist, get ready to watch the next video here once everything is done. And until then, you guys make it a great day. Take care.